Hello everyone, welcome back to the Uncle podcast. My name is Borna. Thank you for joining in. This is another Coffee and Tea with Borna Z. This show was inspired by Gary. I really love what he's doing for the community and how he's giving back to everyone. So this is my way of contributing. And today we're going to talk about books again. I'm going to go through 10 books, in my opinion, that are the best in the field of personal development that can help you change your life if you study them. They will be absolutely amazing, guys. So if you've ever done personal development, you know how important it is to wrap your head around ideas that can change your life. And some people are really good at that. Some people have dedicated their whole lives into figuring out how they can help someone get from level 1 to level 2, 5, 10, and just keep improving in their lives and pushing forward and breaking limits and just finding happiness and fulfillment. And I love that idea. I fell in love with that idea somewhere around let's say end of high school, start of college, when I was like 18, 19, and a friend of mine recommended one book, and then I kind of started reading it, and then I found some books online and I fell in love with it. I started applying it every day. I started learning all the time and changing my habits, my routines, my thinking style, and it basically changed my life completely. So today I'm going to share my thoughts on what the best 10 books are on personal development that can change your life. So let's get right into it, guys. I also know that there's hundreds of books now written on, or maybe thousands of books written on this topic, but I'm going to distill the 10 best ones that I think that can really change your life and that are really kind of top in the personal development space, also entrepreneurship, and kind of go through a few of them that you probably heard about but never read them. If you haven't, I'll leave the links for you below in the comments of the podcast, and I would definitely appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. My goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers. I started this show to kind of help people find their happiness and passion in life, and that's kind of the whole idea behind the Uncle Gold podcast. It would have been great if you had the rich uncle who explained everything to you, that taught you how to get the riches, how to find happiness and everything, but most people didn't have that person in their lives. So in this podcast I bring on guests for interviews and also talk about topics like this where you can improve yourself. And in these chats with T and Borna Z, I hope you'll learn something and get some valuable information for yourself. Today I'm drinking Barry's tea, master blend. I'm not a huge fan of this tea. I like the one from the previous episode a lot better, more fruity, more sweet, and I kind of like that one better. But anyways, guys, let's get right into the 10 books that I recommend for you. I'll leave the links for you below if you want to buy them, and let's get straight to the first one, because reading this book will definitely change your life. Now, this book was written 100 years ago. Some people call it the Bible of the personal development space, and it's the holy grail of self-development. Yes, you guessed it, it's Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill. Now, Napoleon Hill was a person who kind of dedicated his life to figuring out what made people achieve great results. And he was in contact with Dale Carnegie, they worked together. He basically set his life mission to find out what the reason is that people succeed in life. And he decided to put all of that knowledge into one book. So he was walking around talking to these super successful people, and back then it was really hard to succeed. There was no internet around, and he believed that there were principles and concepts that if you followed them, that they would lead to you achieving success. And he was looking for commonalities between all the super successful people in the world, and he spent many years figuring that out. He distilled it in that book, and there you have chapters like desire, faith, belief, and a lot of great concepts that can help you really change your life. If you have never touched anything from the personal development space, and if you want something that has everything in one place, definitely check out Think and Grow Rich. I read it like 3 or 4 times, and it's an amazing book. I keep reading it, keep listening to the audiobook to it, and it's really amazing. So I highly recommend it, guys. It's old, but it's really good. You also have the updated version of it, so people kind of rewrote it a little bit to make it more modern because it's getting really old. But I still believe that the concepts described in that book are true and that they hold a lot of value, and definitely you can learn a lot from it. So pick up that book, and let's get to book number 2. Now, on number 2, we have one of my favorite authors, is Anthony Robbins, or Tony Robbins. His book, Awaken the Giant Within, is a international bestseller. It's an amazing book. Guys, if you've never done anything in personal development, definitely pick up Tony Robbins. At this point, you have to have heard about Tony. You will see that when you get a new job and start working in a new company and you talk to people who are really ambitious and going for their goals and try to drive revenue and the mission of the company, you will see that most of them have read or done one of Tony Robbins's programs. He's super well known, and he has mastered the idea of improving your life and bringing it to the new level. I highly recommend you pick up this book. I read it a few times. It's absolutely amazing. It talks a lot about like how to control your state, how to control your mindset. Tony Robbins invested so much time into psychology and figuring out how the human mind works, and you will learn phenomenal concepts there, like belief structures. Like I love his analogy of the table, where beliefs are like a table, and the more legs you put underneath it, the stronger the belief is. The more, if you have a negative belief, the more legs that you remove, the easier it is to remove a negative belief and implement a stronger one. So he will teach you a lot of this stuff, and I'm sure that you'll love Tony's like hyped attitude, and he's a great guy. He's running around like 50 companies right now, and he's still doing his seminars live. But let's get to book number 3. And guys, this is a bit of a curveball here. On number 3, we have Tony Robbins again. You have to read Tony Robbins, guys. On number 3, we have the book Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. Now, this book is also amazing. I have both of them here. You have to wrap your head around how amazing this person is and how useful the information in these books are. Now, the books are pretty condensed, and you know, when you're reading something and then you're like, oh, this is a great quote, I should take this line and put it on my wall. You could literally tear out the whole book. Every Tony Robbins book, you can tear out the whole page, and every sentence could be like a quote, because he writes in such a powerful languaging where you can really feel like that he's put so much effort into figuring out how to get the most juice for you to improve your life by reading the book or listening to his programs. Now, you can also listen to his audio programs or cassettes, whatever he uses now, but definitely check out these 2 books. I highly recommend them. He has a few newer books like Money Masters the Game, also amazing, but that's not that much into personal development. That one is more focused on finances, investing, like asset allocation, and I didn't want to put it here on the list. And I wanted to put these 2 because I really think that they're one of the pillars of building yourself up. And you can always come back to these books. You can always reread them because you'll always find something useful in them. So that's the top 3. Let's get to book number 4. Now, book number 4 is also one of the great ones. It's from Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it's not like the rich uncle, poor uncle, but copied. Basically, Robert grew up with 2 dads, as he called them. One was his real dad, which was a college professor working a steady, regular job, and he believed in like working for the state, investing into the long term, and basically doing everything like the standard type of life that most people live. And then he had a second dad, which was kind of like a entrepreneur who had like 20 businesses, and he learned from both. And he compared both mindsets. He started working more and more with the rich dad and learning from him, because he managed to explain to him that just because you're working doesn't mean that you're financially going up in your life. This book is amazing for many, many reasons, but one thing that it helped me the most is get my head around the idea that things in life are assets, and if they're not assets, they're probably wasting you money. So if you're buying things that don't appreciate in value or don't create money for you, you're probably losing money on them. And this book will give you a really, really good idea like how real estate works and how you should think about a car or a house or whatever you're doing with your money. And should you become an investor or a business owner or an employee, and he explains it really, really well in the cash flow quadrant. And I think you'll love the idea. He also created a Monopoly-like game where he explains a lot of the concepts that he's teaching in the book. And yeah, he's an amazing guy. He has a podcast as well, so definitely check him out online. I'm sure that you'll love him. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a classic. It's a really, really good book. Definitely check it out. Robert's working on a new book that's coming out in 2021, I think, or 2022. But definitely check out both. Start with Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm sure you'll love it. Get your head around assets that create money for you. And now let's get to book number 5. Now on number 5, we have the book of Dr. David Schwarz, The Magic of Thinking Big. And it's a really, really great book that explains how you should basically set high goals. And most people don't set any goals. Let's be clear on that one. When they set them, they usually set goals that they can easily achieve just to make themselves feel good. But this book will convince you otherwise, that you should set goals that are far beyond what you ever imagined, because that is what's required for you to change your mindset and go after them, to kind of be inspired and emotionally attached to the outcome, so you can have to actually get there and achieve it. The first time that I read this book, I actually didn't believe it. I was like, nope. I can't set goals that big, but it showed me later when I reread it, it showed me that my confidence and my belief in myself was not there, and I didn't believe that I could actually do. And since then I've rewritten my goals, and now I have a lot bigger goals than I had when I read the book for the first time, which was basically at the start of college. At that time, one of my biggest goals was to finish college and have good grades, and and things change in life. So definitely keep your mind focused on big goals, big ideas. That's what will change your life. This book will also help you figure out your attitudes and help you with how you're navigating your life, and definitely help you with goal setting and thinking of how you can achieve better results, how to motivate other people, how to be a better leader, how to achieve greater results. Definitely one of the top books that you can read. I highly recommend it. Definitely check it out. And now let's go to book number 6. On number 6, we have How to Win Friends and Influence People from Dale Carnegie. You might have heard about him from the Carnegie Institute. He was a author and speaker from the last century. He died in 1935, and he was one of the first people to kind of coin the term self-development and personal development. And he wrote this book and a number of other books, and he's kind of remembered as one of the old classics, just like Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich. And this book is really, really good because it focuses more on the human and networking part. A lot of these books that I mentioned before are inward focused on how you can change yourself and how you're reacting to the world. This book is more focused on how you and the person that you're talking to can change the dynamic and change the relationships that you have with other people. Tony talks about that a lot as well. But this book will help you improve on your networking skills, on the influence that you have around other people, the way you talk to people, the way you feel around people, leadership skills, a lot of really, really useful topics here. How to better explain things as well, how to better connect with people, how to get friends faster, how to build rapport easier. Really useful book. I'm sure that you'll love it, especially if you're a little bit introverted and you don't know how to approach new people or build connections and relationships, or you're maybe shy of embarrassing yourself. This book might be number 1 for you, so definitely check it out. And especially if you're in a sales position where you have to talk to people a lot, or HR or something like that, this should be on top of your list to read it, because you'll have a lot of really good benefits by reading this book. It will change your perspective on a lot of things, and I'm sure you'll hear some of the things that you haven't heard before on previous trainings, so check it out. Coming to number 7 is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People from Stephen R. Covey. Now that's an author that focused really on useful habits. Many of the authors before also spoke about how useful habits are and how important it is to build habits. This guy focused on what the most successful, rich, top people are using on their list as daily habits, and how they think about what are the most useful things that you can do on a daily basis in your life to improve your life. We're going to talk about habits a lot more on this channel. I'm sure that you will see how useful it is once you implement a really useful habit. Like, imagine going to the gym and how better your body feels when you're healthy compared to when you weren't going to the gym and you felt sluggish and without energy. So now think how many great benefits you're losing upon just because you don't have the right habits implemented in your life. Well, this book might help you with a lot of these habits. He focuses on the 7 main ones that he believes are the most impactful. I'll give you 2 without a lot of spoilers. First one and the last one. So the first one is be proactive. You can see where this book is going already. If you want to do and achieve more and have more out of life, you have to work on it. You have to work for it, and you have to work to get there. You have to change some things, and that requires you to be proactive. Nothing happens if you just lie down on the couch and just wait for something to happen magically. And he'll go in depth into that concept in his book. The last one that he noted there in the book is sharpen the saw. So basically, you always have to learn how to improve your skills and how to improve what you're doing to get better at it. He also talks about the concept of if somebody gave you 100 pieces of wood to cut and only a few hours to do it, the famous saying goes that I would sharpen my saw for 3 hours and then cut the wood for 1 hour, So basically, if your saw is not sharp, you're basically not getting the results that you want in your life. You're basically not using your potential fully. You don't have a sharp axe. You're not cutting through life. And that's sometimes very, very necessary to achieve the things that you want. And by cutting, I don't mean like hurting anyone or stuff like that, but basically being hyper focused and always learning, always expanding your knowledge, always expanding on what you can do to kind of change your paradigm and your self in life. And that won't come easy to you probably, especially the hard parts are very rewarding. So if you go through the hard parts, you'll probably get more results, but that's not that easy. And as soon as you get into personal development, you will see that most of the benefits come after you put in a lot more work. And so yeah, be proactive and sharpen your saw, guys. And now let's go to book number 8. Now I think that you'll love these last 3 books, and they're a little bit different than the first 7. So the first one that I have here on the last 3, but definitely not the least, is Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek. A lot of people reference this book because it changed their perspective, and I think what Tim realized is that a new wave of working and type of living is coming, where people are not chained to their desks and jobs where they work 9 to 5 or 12 hours per day, or that are not consumed in this hyper personal development cycle where you have to hustle every single second of the day and overwork yourself and burn out. He went the other way. He thought to himself, like, I'll go into automation and basically put everything in place in the way that even if I'm not there in the company, that the company runs itself. And I have people that are doing everything for me. And in the book, he explains a lot of concepts that can help you kind of focus on the idea of how you don't have to hold the handle tightly on everything that you're doing, but kind of think about automation and delegation and getting rid of some things that don't make sense. And I feel that I learned a lot from this book because it made me realize that I don't have to be, like number one in everything and responsible for everything and do everything myself. Because you get that feeling sometimes from all the other personal development books that you have to handle all the responsibility and that you have to take care of everything. And then Tim comes along and he's like, oh yeah, I created a website and this was selling this guy was answering emails, everything was automatic, and he just went traveling around Cambodia or Laos or wherever he went and studied dancing and things like that, So I definitely love that idea, and I really think that if more people can establish something like that in their lives, where they're not chained to their jobs and have something automated on the side that helps them, would be definitely very beneficial for them and help them kind of relieve a lot of stress and live a more healthier life. And then you would have a lot more time and energy to focus on yourself and on personal development, and then you could think big and achieve a lot more because you wouldn't be pressured from the job and everything. So definitely consider this book. I highly recommend it. It's easy to read. Tim has a great podcast as well, so check it out, the Tim Ferriss Show. He has great guests on, goes into depth about a lot of topics. And yeah, very interesting guy. Check him out. Let's get to book number 9. Book number 9 is the newest book on this list, but one of the best books that I have ever read. It's by Jordan B. Peterson, 12 Rules for Life. Now, Jordan Peterson is a Canadian author, speaker, YouTube personality, university professor, clinical psychologist. He does so many things, and he's amazing. He's basically a brilliant man talking about brilliant topics. And in this book, he condensed a lot of his life's work. If you want something that's very engaging, something that's very rich in thought, and it feels like this book is really spot on with every word that this guy wrote. I watched one of his interviews on how he writes his books, and he's only written 3 so far. Maps of Meaning, 12 Rules of Life, and 12 More Rules for Life, which is his newest book, and we'll talk about that later. But this book is really amazing, and I highly recommend watching also some of his lectures. I don't think he covered everything he had to say in this book because he has a lot of complicated thoughts that take time to understand, and sometimes it's not easily understood what he's talking about, but definitely take some time to go through this one. This book might be the heaviest out of them, but it's super impactful, and it will definitely change your life if you go through it. One of the most famous ones from the book is Clean Your Room, and he talks about how you should basically set your room around you in order, and a lot of people laugh at that because they think it's surface level, because like, oh yeah, just clean up the room. But it goes a lot deeper. Like if you're living in a family that's in distress, or let's say you have some kind of problem at home, probably when you put the room in order, you're kind of setting the tone of improvement and bettering the whole situation. And you might get conflict there because a lot of people who are used to, like keeping things down and in the negative might resist you cleaning the room, and which is a very interesting concept to think about. So definitely check out the book. There are a lot more concepts there that you should think about and try implementing. I might have not explained this properly, but the book will do a really good job at explaining it. I highly recommend it, guys. If I didn't convince you, watch some of the speeches of Jordan Peterson on YouTube. His channel is absolutely amazing. His lectures are incredible. I watch them all the time, and I highly recommend the book. I also talked about Jordan Peterson in the previous video of top 10 personal development leaders. I think he's amazing. Definitely check out that video, check out his YouTube channel, and I highly recommend the book. So read it. And now let's get to book number 10 on this list. Coming in on number 10, last but not least, from Richard Koch, the 80-20 principle, or the 80-20 rule. Amazing book. It basically describes the Pareto principle, which was an Italian economist. And what this book talks about is that 80% of your results will come from 20% of your actions. And 20% of your actions will bring out the top 80% of results, basically in reverse. This rule is applied in a lot of things, and it can be found in many structures, organizations. A lot of concepts hold true from that book. Like if you look at the sales team, for example, and I talked about sales a lot in my last video, some great books there that I recommended. But basically, if you look at the sales organization, if you have 100 people working there trying to achieve results, set goals, and go for new clients, 20 of these 100 sales people will generate 80% of the income, because they will be exponentially better than all the other 80% of people. And that's kind of the easiest way you can explain the 80-20 rule. At first, when I heard about it, I was like, okay, it's cool. Yeah, some people are really good. But the most important lesson that I got from the book was actually later, when I came back to the book from a podcast that Tim Ferriss actually did with Richard Koch, and it drove me back to self-analysis, and I kind of asked myself, what are the 20% of the actions that I take on a yearly basis that give me the most results, or the most happiness, or the most fulfillment, or whatever you want to focus on, or the most money that you can earn? And this rule kind of helped me figure out what the most important things are in my life, what I want to focus on, where I want to focus 80% of my energy and do only 20% of the tasks. I'm going to do it again end of this year for New Year's, when everybody sets their goals. I'm going to do it a little bit sooner, maybe in November, we'll see. But basically the idea still holds firm, that only a handful of things that you do will actually give you the best results from everything that you're doing. And when you think about it, think about the last job that you got. You probably went to 10 interviews and you only got 2 of them that were positive, that came back and said, yeah, we want to talk to you more. And then with those 2, you went to the second round of interviews, and then you kind of got to the third round maybe, or got a job offer from then, and then you were like, pick from these 2, and one of them was what you wanted, right? Or from all the calls that you did, only a handful of them gave you the best results or the most profits. And start analyzing what you're doing throughout the day or in your job, and where you're getting the most results. Try to figure out your numbers. I'm sure you will find a lot of useful information in this one rule. It's super easy to implement and kind of understand. This book will help you understand it even deeper. I also recommend watching the episode where Tim Ferriss goes into details with Richard Koch. He's a great guy. The book is amazing. As I said, I'll leave all of the links for you underneath in the comments of this video. I also want you to leave a like and leave me a comment how you guys like this episode. What are some of the books that you already read? what are some of the books that I noted here that you haven't read but you will read. And I look forward to seeing you again in the new episode on the Uncle Gold podcast. I started this whole show to kind of help people improve their lives, and there will be a lot more people who talk about personal development. Some of them have already been on the podcast that are personal development coaches and really try to improve their life on a daily basis. I highly recommend you check some of those episodes out. One of my goals is to get to 1,000 subscribers on this podcast right now. So make sure to click that subscribe button. It's free for you guys. It'll help me a lot. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your time. Hope you enjoy this coffee and tea with Borna Z, and I'll see you in the next episode. The Uncle Gold Podcast.